The lights are off and away they go.
Extremely loose. He's managed to hold on and he missed the complete that. He's crazy stuff.
Side Freitas is on the grass on the infield before. He slides through. He tags Richard Eck.
A car that had not raced in 50 years, a high-banked oval dormant for just about as long. But in iRacing's virtual world, nostalgia becomes the now. The Lotus 49 Golden Anniversary World Cup comes to Monza's historic combined layout for the 12th and final round on the 2017 fall schedule. And you can watch all the high-powered, no-downforce, open-wheeled excitement live as it happens here on the Global Sim Racing channel. And welcome to GSRC's Countdown to Green. Filling in for Joe Peak and Sean Ambrose, way up in the press box to bring you our Word's Eye view is Soup and Sandwiches, yours truly, Bill Soup Zahn, joined by Samuel Ryman. Turning the knobs and pushing the sliders is our director, Amjad Yaman, armed with cameras, located, aimed, zoomed, and focused by GSRC's camera guru, Ducky Beer. If you brought cyberspace into your place, then over the next 10 Streamy Award-worthy minutes, GSRC will bring you all the storylines, all the stats and facts you'll need to fully appreciate the 14 laps of simulated historic open-wheel racing that will immediately follow. Now, the last time this commentator was here was GSRC's debut broadcast of the Lotus 49. Joe Peak, Amjad Yaman, and myself had the pleasure of watching Mick the Quick Claridge outduel Ove Trengere for the win. My first experience with this place was at the impressionable age of 6 when my dad took me to Hollywood's iconic Cinerama Dome to watch, no, to absorb, no, to drink in the widescreen film Grand Prix. I was a race fan ever since. Sam, cars aren't going to fly off the banking and land on the track below, are they?
Yes, they probably are, Bill. This track is quite unique in that there's basically the oval and the road course. They intersect at the halfway point of the lap, if you will, kind of do a bit of a crossover. And that means in total we have a track that is 6.2 miles or 9.9 kilometers in length. But look at that mileage to corner ratio. We have 11 turns on this track for a 6-mile circuit. That's basically the same turn to mile ratio you get at a place like Talladega Super Speedway, and it feels it. If you ever wanted to know why motor racing back in the 1950s and 1960s was considered so dangerous, you're about to find out with our Lotus 49 GSRC lap guide here at the classic Monza combined circuit.
All right, we're in the GSRC Lotus 49, so let's do a lap around Monza. Coming up to the first half of the oval, aim for the high side because the banking is actually so steep that it will start to steer the car in for you. In fact, you have to countersteer slightly to keep it from sending you to the apron and getting the car all kinds of wonky. On exit, you'll need a little more steering input since your momentum starts to pull the car towards the outside fence. If you've timed your run right, you can slingshot past the car in front of you down the backstretch. But unless it's a last lap situation, I wouldn't advise trying to go too wide into the second half of the oval. Just like before, you've got to hold wide and countersteer. This and the narrow track make it very treacherous to do anything but single file around the oval. Hope you've got a big pair though, because now comes the jump. Let the car drift a little high, then swing it back low and try your best to keep the car straight over the crest. You can see I wasn't quite perfect, and even that tiny bit of sideways momentum makes for a scary landing. If you're in a pack, sideways landings almost always lead to the big one. Once more, the drafting game is going to be played down the traditional front stretch. Here, it's a lot more viable to go too wide into Curva You can even attempt to outbrake your opponent. Try to get the power down early, and if you've lined it up right, you can countersteer your way out of the corner with your foot down the whole way out. You can hear I had to lift slightly to keep it together. After that, switch sides and brake hard for Della Rosia. You can take quite a bit of curb on the left and get away with it. Then straighten her out and throw out the anchors for the first Lesmo. A late apex is better than what I've got going on here, though if you compromise your exit a little bit, it's okay because it's not often passes are attempted into the second Lesmo. Don't be afraid to be aggressive on the inside curb here and really focus on getting to the gas as soon as you can. This is a pretty long straight we'll be flying down. With the braking into Ascari coming up, it's a very popular passing spot. expect a lot of aggressive defending into here. Under the bridge, spot your brake marker, then ideally you want to get the rear rotated on entry. Hug tight to the right through the second apex, and then be careful not to clobber the sausage curb on the third one so that you have an easier time applying the power. Use up all the pavement to your right, and then get on the loud pedal again. Parabolica can offer a chance to pass on the last lap, but you'd be foolish to do it any other time because of the draft on the oval. Just like Ascari, try to get the rear of the car to rotate on entry, and then ease onto the throttle on exit. I tend to try and short shift to help me find traction. Getting the launch out of here is incredibly critical to lap times, so avoid hesitation. Hopefully, you've kept it all together and have now finished a lap around Monza.
Joe Peak doing what he's quickly becoming famous for, talking us around a racetrack, this time a lap around Monza combined. Now let's take a lap around the point standings. The top 3 drivers seem secure in their positions. He's won 7 of the 8 races he's entered despite missing 2 events. He's clinched the championship. He's known as the French Flash. He is, of course, Michel Dudignon, and he is our season's point champion. After a couple wins early, things have come harder for Ove Trengrade, but the Norwegian is still very good at this place. American Billy Bob Wright had a win at Phillip Island. From the Lounge Down Under, AJ the Koala Bear had a win at Outland Park. And racing for the Stars and Stripes, Bruce Nelson has yet to win, but he does have a pair of seconds. There's also a championship for the nations, and it's called the Constructors' Cup. All the countries hold station. France is safe thanks to Dudignon's success. For Norway to get around the USA, it will be Ove Trengrade against a plethora of Uncle Sam, such as Billy Bob Wright, Bruce Nelson, and Jack Olstad, to name a few. Australia looks to be locked into 4th. Hey, the UK and Finland are tied for 5th. So, Sam, we talked about the track, look at the point standings, even bored the viewers with the yarn about my childhood. How about we take a second to go over the series details?
Yeah, well, as you mentioned, Bill, this is the season finale, and it is a 14-lap race, about 2.5 minutes per lap. That is basically a lap around the oval and a lap around the road course. So we are going to have a race run in about 30 minutes approximately. No drop weeks you see there, and that's been quite incredible to see our championship leader, Michael Dodegon, his success this series, the fact that he's won 7 out of the 8 races he's contended in and already wrapped up the championship with 1 race to go despite missing 2 races. Setup's open setup, which is good news for these drivers. This is not a track where you want to be racing with an iRacing setup, fixed setup that you aren't 100% comfortable with, because this track is difficult to get around with only just 1 of these Lotus 49s racing around this circuit. We've got 27.
Yeah, indeed. This is a very, very large split. In fact, if it were just a few drivers more, then it would have been cut in half. We would have had 2 splits, which is rare for this series. No qualifying going on right now. This is practice. Qualifying was already done during the week because of the special characteristics of this track with the qualifying lap being so far around. We can go right now to the grid as practice is just about done, and let's see who we have at the very top. Well, a couple familiar names there. It is Michel Dudignon and Mick the Quick Claridge. Now, here's a newcomer, Roy Cunningham, put in a great qualifying time during the week, sitting in 3rd. Haven't heard much from him. Billy Bob Wright, Jack Olstad, and Dave Price make up row 3. Joni Kelligan in the 7th position, and it is Tommy Unhula in 8th, Brett Rial and Oliver Fairley in 9th and 10th.
Yeah, now this is where things will get interesting for the first lap in the middle half of the field, with Andrew Eng starting in 11th alongside Benjamin Zoko, Luca Gomez in 13th and Richard Morin in 14th place. Randy Hugh is the slowest car to turn a time in qualifying, 7 seconds off of a pole time. And then you get to the drivers who we expect to see carve through the field. Neil Kemp, Michael Thomas, Overedge, and Transgerald, apologies for that, Mark Hewitt, and Hideki Koivisto rounding out the top 20.
Hidden Blackjack is Steve Hogan in the double duck spot. Don, tell me something good. Gary Anderson and Pedro Nagarotto in the 23rd and 24th spots. Lawrence FQ in the 25th spot, Marco Ravioli in 26, and Dave Beatty rounds out our 27-car field. It's the final round of the 2017 fall schedule. Gather up the chickens, take cover behind the cows, because the horses are out of the barn. It is Michel Dudignon jumping to the lead. There is a battle for second, though. It looks like Claridge is going to be safe in second. Wright drops into third. Price and Roy Cunningham battling for fourth position. Cunningham gets the best of it.
You see they're starting on the oval portion of laps, so they're going to be racing in a massive pack. We're going to see overtaking opportunities down the back straight, and here's one for the lead with Mick Claridge. There's incidents going on at the back, but just look at this pack as they head off into the third turn of the oval, and then it's road course time.
Through the final turn of the oval, and it is Claridge out in front. Dudignon holds on to second. Wright had a peek, wanted to get in there, maybe mix it up with those guys. He's going to sit back. Now they go over the jump as they head down onto the road course now. Everybody's straight so far. Oh, no, we lost a few in the back. We knew we would.
Yeah, Randy Hugh and Luke Gomez had an incident on the back straight too, and another change for the lead in this drafting battle as Michel Dudignon takes the lead back, overshoot and off. Talking about overshooting, Billy Bob is off. Roy Cunningham puts a couple of wheels off.
Yeah, Cunningham is fallen and Billy Bob is long gone.
There's a 17-point incident limit in this official series race, so you can be disqualified if you pick up too many off courses. The track temperature, by the way, a high 101 degrees Fahrenheit. That's in the 30s over in the Celsius, so definitely not a lot of sticking power to these tyres and not a lot of sticking power with the downforce levels of these old Lotus 49s. Dudignon continues to lead ahead of Claridge, Price, and wow, Oon Holler has made up from 8th into 4th on this opening lap. Yes, we are still on lap 1.
Yes, with the loss of Wright and Cunningham, that opened the door for some of these guys to move up, and Holler goes up into that fourth position. Here's a veteran, Jack Olstad, racing in 5th. Now, in the round that I was able to be at, that first round of GSRC's debut, Olstad was able to run with the leaders right now. He's stuck in 5th. We have another car off going wide. That's in Parabolica. That was on Holler. We talked about how good he was doing. He drops the spot to Jack Olstad now, moves up to 4th. And here comes Joni Kajesan in back behind him.
Already pit road has turned into a bit of a garage with 5 cars stationary there over the opening lap. Luke Gomez, Randy Hugh, Michael Thomas, Steve Hogan, and Pedro Nugadrato. And also we've had William Wright retire from the race, but now 1 lap complete. And surprise, surprise, to see the number 1 car, our champion, out there leading the field. Or he was leading the field at the completion of lap 1. Now he's been shuffled back. That's just how quickly things change with this drafting package.
We ride on board with the Frenchman right now.
Oh, crash for 6th. Off goes on Holler, and I think he clipped Ryal. Ryal's able to continue. Not often you see that. Oh, no, there's another crash. Cunningham's off. Was it Cunningham he clipped? Because...
yeah. Rafagu also involved in one as well.
Oh, he came back across the track and collected Cunningham.
We're going to go on board with Cunningham. Roy was having such great potential. Qualified 3rd, had trouble early, and then this one takes him out. Too fast to make any evasive maneuvers there.
Yeah, these cars well in excess of 200 miles an hour down that straight. Well in excess of 170 right now. Before he hit his braking point was Claridge, who is currently our leader. I have a feeling we're going to have to keep an eye on this lead pack for a little while because they keep swapping around on us.
So Dudignon has fallen back to 2nd. Mick Claridge is our leader. Now here's a new name, Dave Price, doing a good job hanging on into 3rd. Price in that white car goes a little bit wide through Parabolica. As long as you get the car straight.
Now, Dave Price has a number 11 machine. Remember, this is an official iRacing Series race. That means iRacing expects him to be running around 11th. Of course, he's doing a lot better than that right now in 3rd position. And when you do come to tracks, and I'll finish that thought in a bit because it looks like we got another challenge for the lead here. Michael Dadognan back up to the top spot. One day I'll get this name right. At least he's getting his passing opportunities right. Lap number 3, and once again there's been a change for the lead. Let's see how long he holds onto that though.
We're going with Dudignan as in filet mignon there. So those are our top. Well, here comes the pass now. Here comes Claridge again. And look at the hole that it punches back there for Dave Price. Price is going to tuck his nose in there as they head into Curva Grande. Price backs out, and that's going to bring in Jack Olstadt.
Yeah, Hyone Kalidranan not too far behind him as well. We basically have a 5-car pack racing for the lead. Now, they get spread out a little bit here, of course, as they go through the road course section of the circuit. I would call it the twisty part of the circuit, but it's definitely not twisty at all. Although these are the Lesmos here are about 90-degree right-handers, and then they go over to Ascari, which they kind of get rid of a chicane down there. But then, of course, they come back out to the oval, and then they all get bunched up again and jumbled up again. And remember, this is only a 14-lap race. I know it's very early on, lap number 3, but those laps will pass by quickly.
Claridge, Dudignan, Price, Olstadt, and Kajanen back there, your top 5.
Battle for 9th has gone south with Brett Riel and Andrew N. Actually, this was a battle for 8th when it happened. I believe that's down in the Ascari. The two have tangled.
Look at that replay right now. Eng, a veteran of the series.
Yeah, no ill intentions there. Looks like one of them just stepped out and collected the other. And sure enough, an apology from Eng.
So surprisingly, a big name that we haven't much talked about is the driver racing in 6th right now. 4.3 seconds behind the lead train. That is the Norwegian Ove Trengrade. He's usually pretty competitive here, but my gosh, he is off the pace. Now,
I don't know about that, Bill. Yeah, he was one of the drivers who didn't qualify.
He did not. You know, I heard some talk earlier in the practice session about drivers not realizing that there was a special qualifying session. And I think probably Ove was one of those drivers that was caught by surprise. So now he's doing his best to see if he can catch these guys up front.
The guys up front currently being led by Dave Price. Oh, not for much longer. Michelle goes back up to the top spot.
And you can see the number 3 car of Mick the Quick looking to get in there as well. Dudignan has locked up the championship. Here comes Price. He's going to try to do a pass on the technical section. Now, there's no chicane here, so this is pretty much, they go through here almost flat out. They have to do a little bit of lifting. Now they get into the two Lesmos here as they go around. Dudignan able to hold on through the first one and keep the lead through the second one. But even down into Ascari, this can be a passing zone.
But these 5 battle, Bill, I wonder, I want to keep an eye on the lap times this time to see if Trent Gerald, who you were just talking about, is up into 6th place. He's the first car behind this lead pack of 5 machines. He's 4 seconds back, but we'll wait and see what kind of lap times he's able to do. Meanwhile, not a good lap time for Don Good, who was running in 10th place, goes off in the Lesmos, comes back on, but loses a few positions. Oliver Farley having a solid race in 7th. He just had an off in Ascari. I think he might get slowdown penalty for that. The good news is he has 3 seconds over Richard Morin, so he'll be able to retain that position. A lot of drivers having good points races for them, Bill, the ones who don't have as high I ratings, just because of the amount of carnage there was in the opening couple of laps.
We're looking at the leaders as they come at you. Hard to get away from that front 5 because the action is so good up there with lots of passing. You can see back there that last car in the train, that was Trengrade trying to catch up. He's 3.4 seconds back. How about a quick shout out to Oliver Farley? He's a driver we don't usually see here, brought in kind of a a ringer here as we race here on this ring. Oliver Farley in 7th. Look at what's going on up front, my gosh. Oh, we lose one. That's Claridge got loose. I think he got a piece of Olstead as he goes by. Looks like he gathers the car up. He's going to lose momentum. Can he get it going? Is the car damaged? He falls back to 5th.
I don't think I've ever seen 2 open-wheel cars tangle. Oh, wow, Claridge has trouble. Yeah, his car's broken. I'm going to say, I don't think I've ever seen 2 open-wheel cars tangle at 200 miles an hour on Monza's banking and get away with it. That's the closest they'll ever get. Mind you, it looks like Claridge is the only one struggling. It looks like everyone else might be all right.
Yeah, Jack Olstad is the car that got into him. Olstad with a good run. But remember, you're fighting the car here. Olstad's car takes a shot to the left and gets into the back of Claridge. It's tough to keep the car down on the apron where Jack was trying to put it. I think it just moved up on him. I don't think Jack had the car exactly where he planned it to be. So
you're fighting the car on pit road here, Bill. And you mentioned you're fighting the car on the banking.
Yeah.
I mean,
so another car damaged. Claridge falls farther back. Now he is in 5th, and he's losing ground to Trengrade. Trengrade looking to get that top 5. Unfortunately, I don't know if the Norwegian is going to be able to make up much time on the Finn, who is racing in 4th right now. Gajanin up in 4th is still in contact with Olstad. We talked about Olstad. He's good here. And here, sure enough, he is racing in the top 3. Dave Price, these guys have to be careful that they don't lose contact with Dudignan.
I think it wouldn't surprise me too much if Claridge actually brings it into the pits for repairs. It's got 9 laps left here. It's a long way to go if your car's not handling right. He's going to try and stay out, but I think he'll definitely lose that position to Trangeray in the upcoming moments here.
Claridge is leading now. Remember, the points that we hand out here are special points that are just for the GSRC broadcast. It's the special points given for the Golden Anniversary champion, the cup here that we race. But there are iRacing points. Claridge is reading the official scoring right now, I do believe. So he's trying to get whatever he can. He's about to be overtaken, though, by the Norwegian Trengerid.
Yeah, the fact that we have a 27-car single split, unfortunately, when it comes to the official series points, isn't good news, because there might be drivers in this race, as Claridge has actually pulled out of it now. There might be drivers in this race whose iRatings aren't that high, and that actually pulls down the points values for the guys who finish up front.
Battle up front for the lead. I was just about to try to run down the rest of the field a little bit, but we can't get away from the lead right now. It's Dudignan, Michel Dudignan up in front. Price is now fallen back to 2nd. Let's go ahead and try to get some coverage a little farther back. Let's go to the driver in 7th. We talked about Oliver Farley, who is up into 6th now. Benjamin Zoko running all by himself in 7th. He has about a 2nd lead over a newcomer, Richard Morin. Morin all by himself in 8th, again with 6 seconds over another name I'm not familiar with, Neil Kemp. Now Kemp is in a battle with Mark Hewitt.
Yeah, actually a pretty large pack here, because they also have Don Good behind them. We saw Good having a bit of an off earlier on. Then behind them in 13th place is Andrew Eng. And things get a bit spread out after this battle from 10th to 12th, because Eng has about 12 seconds over Koivisto in 14th. There is a battle for 15th going on between Gary Anderson and Marco Ravioli. And then David Beadley rounds out the cars on the lead lap, and I think I would go to say that every car behind Ravioli, 18th on back, has run into some kind of trouble this race.
Ravioli having a great race, started 26, is up 10 spots into, well, I guess 16th, even farther than that right now. He's racing in 14th, make it 12 spots.
Yeah, I was curious to see if Trangeray was able to continue to close down on the leaders, because he's, of course, been our biggest move of the race, started in 18th, having not qualified, and he's currently up to 5th. However, ever since things calmed down a little bit for the top 4, they're still swapping positions back and forth, but it's calmed down a little bit. I think they've picked it up a little bit, or Trantere has dropped off a bit, because now that it's gone from, I think it was like 3 seconds he was behind that lead pack, now it's back up to 4 seconds.
Oh, here comes Jack Olstad up front. He has a giant run. He had fallen back almost 0.6 of a second on the Frenchman. He gets one, and let's see if Price is going to come in as well. Price racing out of the UK. Dudignan out of France. And, of course, Olstad, one of the driving forces behind GSRC's involvement in this series, up in front now. If memory serves, Jack does not have a broadcast win. This would be very special for him.
I'd say he's got about a 25% chance of it right now. Want me to do the math for you there, Bill?
I got it figured out. 4-car trade up front. That includes the caboose, the Finnish driver there, Kajanen.
Oh, so you say we have a Brit and a Finnish driver battling in this top 4. Of course, the significance of that, Finland and England come tied in 4th in the constructors into this race. So maybe a bit up for grabs there.
There you go. In fact, you can pretty much safely say that the winner between Price and Kajanen would get their country onto the overlay. Top 4 race in order. Jack Olstad coming around Parabolica. Gets credit for leading the lap. Let's see if the Frenchman wants to put a move on here into Curva Grande. They are a full throttle all the way down till they get to this corner. Let me correct myself. They were on the oval there, so they didn't go to Curva Grande. They actually go to the oval section.
Here comes to a grand curve.
Yeah, it is. Here comes a pass for second. And let's see, the Frenchman is going to fall back into 4th right now as the Finn driver wants to move in there. No, Kajanen decides to wait. Jack Olstad happy out in front. Let's stay on this a bit more, see how it plays out. This is the tough part where they got to get the car straight. They go over the jump, the car actually gets airborne, and now the American loses the lead to the UK driver. Look at the run from 3rd place, something to keep in mind as we get to the closing laps. As Dudignan back out in front. Boy, the car gets really sideways through Curva Grande.
Yeah, that will be interesting to see how that works out, Bill, because the drivers in 3rd and 4th do get a larger hole punched through the air for them, even though I'm sure aerodynamics wasn't the top priority when these cars were built back in the day. That they were starting to understand them around that era, but I mean, you can just look at this car compared to the modern Formula 1 machines of the day, and it's a night and day difference. But still, they punch a hole through the air, and the laws of the draft work the same. If you are the 3rd or the 4th kind of train, you are going to get a better slipstream. The problem is how long does it take to come into effect? Can you make the pass for the lead and perhaps for the win by the time you get to the start-finish line? And I'm not sure you can, because the finish line is actually quite early up that straight, right down the main straight here at Monza.
Well, right now they're coming into a pointless passing zone, and that is into Parabolica. It is pointless until you get to the last lap, because as Sam just talked about, there's not really a lot of time out of Parabolica before the race is over. So probably the only time you really want to make a pass into Parabolica would be the last lap. Let's go ahead now, drop back to a battle that is heating up. Back here for 9th position. This is Hewitt in the yellow car. Well, actually, it's yellow on my screen. I guess it's not there. Need to refresh what I'm looking at there. Neil Kemp right behind him. A battle to get into 9th position. I think Kemp is going to be in good position to make this pass. But I think he's wait.
Yeah, not going to do it yet. Neither driver qualified. Hewitt started in 19th. Kemp started in 16th. They've been running pretty much middle of the field, avoided all the early carnage. Have a solid race, and not too far behind them, though. It's done good.
Oh, not too far. Here he comes. He's got a great run, and it'll only get bigger as they go too wide in front of him. Watch Don tell me something good. He could have made the pass if the track was wider. He has to back out. He'll settle to stay where he is as Kemp gets up in front of Hewitt now. Wait a minute, here comes Good. And he's back there. Let's see how it plays out. Good sat there watching a 3-car train for 9th. Kemp, Hewitt, and Don Good.
Now, of course, I'm sure there are ways where these drivers can work together with a slipstream, do some leapfrogging, and see if they could try and run down Richard Morin ahead of him, who's running in 8th position all on his own. But that doesn't seem to be their intentions right now. They're running single file, and honestly, Morin is clicking off faster lap times in this pack.
That seems to have cooled off a bit, so let's go back up and whoa, keep that car on the pavement. There we go. Let's go back up front, see what's going on. Well, right now, they've decided to let Dave Price lead a little bit as they head down into Parabolica. Now, here comes the pass. This is no, he doesn't do it because Dudignan knows it's pointless to make the pass into Parabolica. So they'll just get you when you go back out onto the old. But he's just playing it out, just seeing how this works.
Yeah, I also think, oh wow, there's a crash on the other side of the circuit alongside them there. Still going, that's David Beatty. He was the last car on the race lap.
Did he actually cross over onto the other part of the racetrack?
I think he did, yeah, and he narrowly collected a Trangere.
That is so, we talked about, will any cars jump over, and there you have one.
Yeah, watch Trangere coming through at the last moment here. He's just got to make sure that he didn't roll back over into him.
Trangere's got to be thinking, okay, this is an easy drive. There's nobody in front of me. I'll just keep the car on the track. Then they're flying at him. Let's go back up to the lead. Dudignan looking to make a move. And I think he's going to get it done. Move the Frenchman. He's got that number 1 on the front of his car. He says, that means I should be leading.
Yeah, Dave Price, I've got to confess, I don't know a lot about his backstory in this car and with this kind of racing, but the fact he has a number 11 on the machine, you might think, oh, well, he wouldn't normally be up here running for the lead. But this is one of those tracks, I think, Bill, where you could specialize in this track. Don Good has ran into trouble.
He was having such a nice run as well. He had made it all the way up to 11th. And this just goes to show you, oh my goodness. Yep, the car, there is the jump. You got to get the car straight. For the amount of you are on the throttle here, you probably work harder than any track. This is not like, we mentioned it's a little like Talladega. Well, my goodness, Talladega, a lot more peaceful. You are still working when you're on all the sections of this track. The boys have to be careful now as Dudignan starting to get a little bit of a gap.
Dudignan has to be careful that if they're able to close that gap down, they'll get a massive toe on one of these straights. They'll be able to whip right on by him. But as you mentioned, this is a pretty significant gap here. Price and Olstead, if the greatest thing for Michel here would be if Price and Olstead begin battling for second and they lose time to him, then he wouldn't have to worry about them for the rest of the race.
Michel's got it up to almost 0.8 of a second. Now it starts to come back. Let's see how far that draft plays in effect. Down to 0.6 of a second. Olsted's going to make it a little bit faster as he goes around. Here they come. And they got
Olstead backs out. That was smart. Yeah, realise the bigger picture is like, okay, why should we risk this battle for second when if we stay single file, we still have a shot at the win.
And boy, look at the run continues, and here comes Price, is going to get that pass made easily. He brings along the American as well. Olstad tucks in there. Dudignan drops back into third, but I don't think the Frenchman is worried. And the sleeper is the Finn driver back there. Johnny Cajun and sitting back there. Joni looking for not really forcing the issue. I think happy just to race in fourth. We'll let it play out when we get near the end. And we're getting there as there are only 4 laps to go. Let's look at the Australian driver now, Benjamin Zoko, racing in 6th position. Here comes Oliver Farley. Farley, little by little, has been wheeling in the Aussie. They work through the last Lesmo, now down into, they'll be heading to Ascari.
I want to keep half an eye on Steve Hogan as well. He was one of the drivers who was involved in an early incident, but he's got his car back out on track and it's handling okay. He's about to pick off a bunch of positions from cars who retired 1 lap after his crash. That'll jump him up from like 22nd to 19th in the order. But the reason I want to keep an eye on him, if he stays out on track at the rate they're going, he's going to be the first lap traffic that Michelle, Price, Olstead, and Canyon are going to have to deal with.
Of the 27 cars that started, 14 remain racing on the lead lap.
And now you may say, well, lap traffic, surely Samuel is 8 laps down, he'll just pull over for them. Unfortunately, Bill, I just don't know if that's this simple in a car that gets very uncomfortable if you try to slow down.
Hey, somebody must be listening to the broadcast as Cajun now says, all right, Soup, you don't like me in fourth, I'll move up, get into the mix. So the Finn driver up into third.
He is the one driver, like you mentioned, Bill, who's kind of just been hanging out the back there. I guess he is waiting to pounce at the end. Whoa, he got a big bumper coming out onto the front straight there. And Michelle had to slow down there, make sure he didn't get into the back of him.
Yeah, Michelle was coming. All right, here comes the Finn again. Looking to get a little bit more. He's starting to get hungry as we race with 3 to go. Dudignon, probably the class of the field, back there in fourth. And honestly, fourth position is probably still okay.
Fourth position is a lot more easier to accept, though, when the leader's not within a second of you.
Price, Olstead, Kajanen, and Dudignon. The UK, the United States, Finland, and France. Down into Ascari, and again, thought I heard some contact back there, but apparently everybody's still racing. We can report that that Zoko-Farley battle has not heated up. It's still Zoko out in front by about a second. That is a battle for 6th. 4 drivers coming at you now as the laps start to wind down. Don't need to go there. Trent Garade all by himself in 5th. All right, let's go a pass for the lead. Here comes the American in the number 5 machine. Olstead down to the inside. And he's going to back out. Boy, again, he had that car down on the apron. It's just so hard to keep the car down there. It wants to pull up. You want to enter that first corner down low like that, but it's just hard to keep it there. It naturally wants to drift up once you get in there. Now here comes the Finn.
This is where being patient is difficult because I don't think you know, other than any other way through experience, when you've got to say, okay, I can't be patient anymore, I'm running out of opportunities. And with 1.5 laps left to go, these drivers I really hope they know what their attack plan is and that none of them intersect.
Once again, the Finn driver has a hard time coming onto the off of the oval.
Well, they're about to go into the road course portion, and then they will start the final lap. And I'm almost thinking that these 4 drivers right now are content to run where they are until they get back to the oval portion of the circuit, and then, boy, the last half of a final lap will be interesting when they come around this in a lap's time.
My guess is the pass for the win's going to happen between turns 10 and 11.
They've caught Hogan, who has moved his way up to 19th now. Hopefully he'll realise these four are racing for the lead. This is the safest place to let them by. Let's get it over before they begin trading spots on the oval, which is what's about to happen, because they're about to exit Ascari, the one chicane that they still have on this track. They'll run down to the Parabolica, and then they will take the white flag. When they do all this next lap around, that means you know they are racing for the victory. But now they've got to position themselves to the victory, because they are coming up to the oval, and you can bet we're about to see a lot of passing.
Through Parabolica for the next to the last time. Price, Olstad, Kajanen, and Dudignon. With apologies to the rest of the field, probably for this final lap, we will focus up front.
Here we'll have a good battle for 8th place to cover at the end as well. 3 drivers fighting for that. Right now, Price has got a really big lead. I don't think this is what Olstad and Kajanen wanted. It's definitely not what Michel wanted. The French Flash is far behind, but now's where they're going to get around him.
Almost too big of a lead, I think. Here comes Olstad. Here comes the Finn as well. He's going to come through. No. Boy, he is a patient driver. Joni sits back and waits. Price locking into second now. Where is the French Flash? He's way back and forth.
Yeah, maybe he planned this. Let's see what kind of run he can get.
There's one. And a pass for the lead up front.
Price going for it. Price will have a lead. Oh, will he? Wow, Michel timed that to perfection.
Oh, the car gets really loose, but that's just how the Frenchman drives it up in front. Now all he has to do is defend. I think that was the plan. Sit back, get the lead going into Curva Grande, and now play defense. I believe there's one more shot for the win, and that's going to be a little contact.
That's the second time Olsted's had contact this race and got away with it, but unfortunately it'll cost him a shot at the victory. What a play by Dudignon there. He was fourth. He was basically 1.5 seconds back, but yeah, I guess he did enough experimentation during the race to know that he had enough track there to gain speed down the back straight of the oval and to use it to his advantage down the front straight, that nothing was going to stop him from leading into Curva Grande.
And if there's ever a time to break away from the pack, it would be on the white flag lap. One more corner for the French Flash as he goes through Parabolica. It's the final round of the Golden Anniversary Lotus 49 Cup. Give it to Michel Dudignon. He wins once again. Let's look at the battle. Back for second, it's going to be Price, Kajanen, Olstad. Relegated to fourth. Trengrave will get fifth. Let's go back and see how the back of the pack is doing. Can we pick one up somewhere? It looks like Kemp is safe ahead of Hewitt for eighth. Tenth position, Andrew Ng moves up into that position.
Richard Morin has run into trouble on the last lap. He was running in ninth position at the start of this lap. He's losing a bunch of spots.
Well, he's he's actually stopped it.
Long on the grass.
That's too bad. You know, it might be a case of maybe running out of fuel.
It's possible. You do burn a lot of fuel around here, but I know he was in a 3-way battle for 8th place. However, I'm going back in iRacing's rewind feature, and I never really saw any contact there. I think he just as you mentioned, probably ran out of fuel. Most of the field is wrapped up here, though. Bill and Benjamin Soko is certainly happy with the 6th place finish because he's burned straight here.
The last driver coming across, Gary Anderson. So with that, we will throw it to break right now, but don't go far. The racing is over. Our broadcast is not. We'll come back to run down the entire finishing order, talk to some of the drivers before we put a lock on the gate for the season here on the Global Sim Racing channel. Back in a few. Welcome back to the Global Sim Racing Channel's coverage of the Lotus 49 Golden Anniversary World Cup. Round 12, the final round from the famous or infamous Monza Combined Circuit. Let's go ahead and run down the finishing order of the finale that just concluded here on GSRC. He's like a cat with a bunch of mice to play with, sitting back in 4th position, makes the move when it counts, and then drives away from the field, picking up his 8th win in 9 tries. He is our season champion. He is the Frenchman, Michel Dudignan. Dave Price from the UK finishes in 2nd position ahead of Joni Kejinen from Finland. The American Jack Olstad in 4th, Norway representative Ove Trengereid never fast enough to get up and race with the guys. He finishes in 5th. Rounding out your top 10, Benjamin Zoko, Oliver Farley, Neil Kemp, Mark Hewitt, and Andrew Ing.
Yeah, those were the survivors, and we got a few more here, rounding out the 13 cars on the lead lap of Hideki Koivisto, Marco Ravioli, and Gary Anderson. 1 lap down was Richard Morin. Well, that's because he failed to finish the final lap after running out of fuel. Brett Ray finished. These are drivers that didn't finish. He placed in 15th position ahead of Don Good in 16th, David Beattie in 17th. Mick Claridge, who had a good race going early on until some contact, he will place 18th at the end ahead of Steve Hogan, who moved up to 19th by turning some laps at the end there and staying out of the way of the leaders. And Tommy Mikel Onhula rounds out the top 20.
A couple Row 2 drivers in this overlay. Roy Cunningham, who qualified in 3rd, comes home in the blackjack spot. Then way down in 26th with the driver qualified in 4th, William Wright. Billy Bob, not a day that he was looking for. Scattered in with those drivers, Laurent Raffague, Randy Huff, Pedro Noragroto, Luke Gomez, and the last car on the grid is Michael Thomas. Okay, there you have it, 27 drivers. And let's see if we have an interview. And I think this is like seeing Sasquatch here. This is like seeing a shooting star. We are lucky enough to talk to, for the first time ever, I believe, our series champion, our winner today, Michel Dudignan. Michel, do you have a copy? We're so close. Let's see if Michel can actually hear us. This is a news. So there we go. Michel, we see you. And Michel, of course, the Frenchman. He's just teasing us as he's not able. We're not here. Let's tell you what. Shall we bring Michel back? We'll bring him back in. We'll see if we can try one more time. And don't go away, Michel. We'll bring you back in a minute. We really do want to talk to our champion. Let's see if we can talk to a newcomer here. Sam, why don't you see if you can talk, because you can speak his language because he's from your country there. Let's talk to Dave Price.
Yeah, Dave Price, first off, congratulations on the 2nd place finish. However, I'm sure you would have much rather been 1 step up more on the podium. Let's try this again. Mr. Price, do you have a copy? Well, Bill, we do have our driver microphone hooked up, right?
I believe we do. What day was this?
Let's bring them both in and just see which one can we can start get working first.
Actually, well, we will bring them both into the booth. Maybe one of them, they are welcome to talk whenever they can, if they can hear us. What Dave was going to say was he was so happy to be on the broadcast. He knows how hard we work here at GSRC. He was disappointed that Joe and Sean were not in the booth. He had to interview with the 2nd string team. You know, maybe that's the problem, Sam, when he saw that it was the 2nd string.
That's absolutely it.
Well, it looks like that is so unfortunate, because we were so excited that we were going to be able to talk to Michel Dudignan, who had a season to remember.
Let's give him one more chance here, Bill. Okay, Dave, Michel, floor's yours.
Stone, do you reach me?
There we go. Hey, we got him.
We got our winner.
Michel, good. We're so happy to talk to you. It's great for you to come in and talk with us. Congratulations on the win today. Let's go. Let's forget about the season. Let's go right to the race. I think you were perfectly comfortable sitting back in 4th position heading into that last lap, right where you wanted to be.
Yes, well, I knew I was first.
Were you familiar with some of these new names? Have you ever raced with Dave Price before in the regular season, the regular series?
Yeah, I did.
How does this track compare? Do you like? Is this fun for you? It's doesn't play into your skill set because it's so much of a draft track. It's hard for you to pull away, but it's just fun to watch. Do you have a good time at this track?
Well, yeah, you said it. It's a fun track, but it's not.
Oh, you're cutting out there on us a little bit. Let's ask you this one. How are you doing in the iRacing? Did Mick get the championship there in the iRacing, the official series? And I think we have a bad connection with France. That's I think he's Dudignon is running in second. Anyway, congratulations, Michelle, for a great season. Always fun to watch you race, and we hope we're back next season to cover you as well. That'll do it here, Sam, for us on the Global Sim Racing channel this time. But before we go, we got some people we have to thank. Let's thank everybody at the Lotus 49. Those guys in that community, and especially Jack Olstadt and Benjamin Zoko for promoting and organizing the series. Thanks to the companies and equipment and software that you see on the screen right now that we use on the broadcast. The original music that gives every GSRC broadcast that unique flavor and feel is thanks to Eric Echolm and Casey Lalonde. See the screen for how to contact each of them. With this being the season finale, GSRC's coverage of the Lotus 49 Golden Anniversary World Cup is concluded. Hopefully, things will fall into place so GSRC can return to bring you yet another season of exciting Lotus 49 action. For more information about GSRC, your best bet is GlobalSimRacingChannel.com. We're also on Twitter at GSR Channel and Facebook at Global Sim Racing Channel. Finally, on behalf of my booth mate, Samuel Ryman, our director, Amjad Yaman, our camera artist, Dougie Beard, and the first string commentating crew, Joe Peak and Sean Crackers Ambrose, I'd like to thank all of you for watching. With that said, we're off to have fun storming the castle. So until next time, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.